If you've ever stood in the kitchen wondering whether a super automatic espresso machine is just another pricey gimmick, you're not alone. You don't want to drop a few $100s on something that ends up gathering dust because it doesn't fit your routine, and you're also trying to avoid the endless trial-and-error of dial-in-your-own shots. I get that hesitation, especially when the market is flooded with machines that promise barista-level drinks at the push of a button but often deliver a compromise you'll only notice after the first week. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I spent a good chunk of the past month actually living with the Terra Kaffe Super Automatic, setting it up, programming my morning brew, and even testing it against a few friends' machines. What I found is a mix of genuine convenience and a few quirks that only become clear once you start using it day in, day out. If you're the type who values a consistent espresso without having to master grind size and tamp pressure, there's a lot to like here. If you're a purist who enjoys tweaking each shot manually, you might feel a little boxed in. Let's start with the setup. Unboxing the Terra Kaffe is fairly straightforward. The machine comes in a compact white chassis that fits nicely on most countertops, a water reservoir, a bean hopper, and a small tablet-like control panel that doubles as a Wi-Fi hub. The first thing you do is connect it to your home network and download the companion app. The app walks you through water line priming, bean loading, and even calibrates the grinder based on the beans you plan to use. Because the machine is app-enabled, you can schedule auto-wake and sleep times so it's not sitting on standby all night. I set it to wake at 6 a.m. on weekdays and to power down at 11 p.m., which shaved off a few watts of energy use and kept the machine from heating up needlessly. The biggest selling point is the roaster-approved espresso settings. Scan the QR code on a bag of specialty beans, and the app pulls a preset profile that adjusts grind, dose, temperature, and pressure to match the roaster's recommendations. In practice, this saved me a lot of guesswork. I tried a light Ethiopian and a darker Brazilian, and the coffee tasted remarkably close to what the roaster advertised on their website: bright acidity on the Ethiopian and a smooth, chocolatey body on the Brazilian. The preset profiles also store themselves in a personal drink persona, so the next time you want that same Ethiopian espresso, you just tap the saved icon. For people who love rotating beans but don't want to spend an hour dialing in each roast, that feature is a real time saver. Now, how does it handle everyday drinks? The machine offers more than 10 customizable options, ranging from straight espresso to milk-based drinks like cappuccinos and lattes. What sets it apart from many competitors is the hybrid brew unit that can switch between drip coffee and espresso. I actually used it to brew a full pot of drip coffee on a lazy Sunday, then switched to a single-shot espresso for a quick afternoon pick-me-up. The transition was seamless, no need to detach a separate basket or clean a portafilter. The milk frothing system works with any milk type, including oat and almond, which is great for households with dietary preferences. The froth came out silky for a latte, though it required a brief pause after the machine started steaming to let the temperature stabilize, otherwise you can end up with a slightly cooked foam if you pour too quickly. Speaking of practical strengths, the auto-wake/sleep schedule eliminates the dreaded machine is still hot surprise when you walk into the kitchen early. The app also logs every drink you make, so you can look back at your consumption patterns, useful if you're tracking caffeine intake or just enjoy seeing how many cappuccinos you've consumed in a month. The ability to program drinks via the app means you can set up family members with their own profiles. My partner prefers a stronger espresso, while our teenage daughter likes a milder latte with extra foam. All of that personalization happens without fiddling with knobs on the machine itself. On the flip side, there are a few trade-offs that matter once the novelty wears off. First, the grinder is built into the unit and, while it does a respectable job for most beans, it isn't as precise as a dedicated high-end grinder. If you're chasing the absolute finest extraction window, you'll notice the grind size can't be tweaked in micro increments. That said, for the majority of home users who stick to the roaster-approved presets, the grinder's performance is adequate. Second, the machine's water tank holds about 1.5 liters. If you entertain a crowd or brew multiple pots of drip coffee in a row, you'll find yourself refilling more often than you might with a larger capacity system. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something to keep in mind if you host brunches regularly. Another practical consideration is the learning curve of the app itself. The interface.